This is how to wire a relay, and it is on screen right now. A 12-volt supply, a trigger switch, the coil, the load, and one small protective diode. All laid out clean in a free browser tab. By the end of this video, you will read every relay pin, 85, 86, 30, and 87, and wire one without guessing. So let us take this exact diagram apart, piece by piece, and put it back together. So what is a relay, and why bother with one? A relay is just an electrically controlled switch. A small, low-current signal flips a big, high-current load safely and from a distance. Here is the problem it solves. Your dashboard switch, or a sensor output, can only carry a tiny current. Run headlights or a horn straight through it, and the contacts burn out. So instead, that small current energizes a coil. The coil pulls a heavy-duty contact closed, and the heavy contact carries the real load. Small switch, big job. That is the entire point of a relay. One weak signal, controlling something it could never power on its own. Quick note before we go deeper. This exact relay diagram is free to open in your browser at Circuit Diagram Maker to app. No install, no sign up. Full disclosure, the editor is ours. Open the first link in the description and build along. Right back to the pins. Now the part everyone gets stuck on. The numbers. A standard relay has 4 terminals, and each has a job. 85 and 86 are the coil, the trigger side. 30 is the common, your power in. And 87 is the output to the load, normally open. Watch what happens. Feed the coil on 85 and 86, and it becomes an electromagnet. That magnet pulls the internal arm over, and 30 throws across to 87, closing the circuit to your load. Cut the coil power, and a spring snaps it back open. That is the whole mechanism. On a 5-pin relay, there is one more pin, 87A. We'll get to it. For now, for numbers. 85, 86, 30, 87. So how do you actually wire it? 3 connections, in order. 1. Fuse power to 30. Always fuse the feed from the battery. It protects the whole load circuit. 2. The coil. 1 coil pin goes to your trigger, the switch or signal turning it on. The other coil pin goes to ground. 3. The load. Wire 87 out to your headlights, horn, or pump, and the load's other side back to ground. That is it. Power and fuse on 30. Trigger and ground on the coil. Load on 87. In the editor, every wire routes itself, pin to pin. Move apart, and the wires follow, so the diagram stays readable while you think. Now the one thing most tutorials skip, the diode. When you cut power to a coil, its magnetic field collapses, and a collapsing coil fires back a sharp, high-voltage spike, sometimes hundreds of volts. That spike hits whatever switched the coil. A delicate transistor or a relay driver could die instantly. So you fit a flyback diode across the coil, backwards. In normal use, it does nothing at all. But when the field collapses, it hands that spike a safe loop to burn off in, instead of your electronics. Across the coil, band toward the positive side. One cheap diode saves the part that triggers the relay. 4-pin or 5-pin, which do you need? A 4-pin relay is the simple one. Coil on 85 and 86. And a single contact, 30 to 87, that stays open until the coil pulls it closed. Normally open. Most jobs want exactly this. A 5-pin relay adds 87A. Now 30 sits on 87A while the coil is off and switches over to 87 when it is on. It is a changeover. One circuit off, another on. Need something running until you trigger it? That is the 5 pins, 87A. Here is the part paper can never do. Prove it. This editor has a real simulation engine built in. Load the finished relay circuit, run a DC operating point, and live voltages appear right on the diagram. There is the 12-volt supply, feeding the coil. A clean 0 at ground. Live numbers, computed from your actual wiring. Ground the wrong pin, or feed the coil from the load side, and the numbers tell you now. On screen, in seconds. Not later, in the dark, with a blown fuse and a test light. Before you wire anything, 3 mistakes to dodge. 1. No fuse on the feed. A shorted load with no fuse is a fire waiting to happen. Always protect 30. 2. Confusing the coil with the contacts. 85 and 86 are the trigger. 30 and 87 carry the load. Swap them, and nothing works or something melts. 3. No flyback diode. Skip it, and the coil's collapse spike slowly kills whatever switches it. Cheap part. Expensive lesson. Fuse the feed. Keep the coil and the contact straight. Fit the diode. Do those 3, and your relay just works. So that is how to wire a relay the right way. 85 and 86 for the coil. 30 for power in. 87 out to the load. Fuse the feed and fit the flyback diode. The editor is free at circuitdiagrammaker.app. No install, no sign up. The link and a gallery of real diagrams to copy are in the description. Want the automotive version next? There's a full car wiring walkthrough on the channel. Subscribe, and I will see you there. Thanks for watching.